So you're going to hear a lot of Marvel fans saying, like, after Phase 3, into Phase 4, 5, 6, it just went downhill. After, Endgame. I disagree with this. In fact, eventually in another video, I'll talk about how we really need to look back at Phases 1 through 3 and see it had a lot of misfires that people don't really like to talk about. Anyways, but the point is, in this video, I'm going to talk about, in my opinion, and these are my opinions, so people can have different opinions than me on this. In my opinion, these are some things I felt Phases 4 and 5 did well, and gets overlooked because of the bad stuff that happened. Because there's definitely some terrible stuff that happened in this time period that just kills me. But these things get overlooked because of that. So starting with, this is not in any particular order. Besides number 1 is almost like an overview of everything and the big thing I think of when I think of the stuff they did well. So I'm going to start with just the first half. Let's start with the very beginning, with the first thing they released basically in Phase 4, and that is WandaVision. WandaVision holds a special place in my heart for the reason that it was my senior year during COVID lockdown, and I was just finishing up high school, and I remember just, I would be doing my homework and just play the newest episode of WandaVision as they were coming out. And I'm pretty sure I was doing my math homework when the ending of episode 4, I believe it is. If you haven't seen it, I won't spoil what happens. But when that ending came, my mind was blown. Like, this, in my opinion, that was this Marvel was doing something right here. And after that point, it went downhill. The last couple episodes of WandaVision was not great. But it really started on a good note. Phase 4 started on a great note with WandaVision. The first half is like, this is different. And it got me thinking about, there was rumors that Doctor Strange 2 would be a horror movie. I'm like, this could be a really interesting thing. Having this series, this combined universe that has different genres going on in it. You have this horror movie, you have these comedies, you have all these different stories coming along, and they're the same universe, the same people, and they can interact with each other. But then you have these each individual, I thought it was a wonderful idea. And then when the end of that 4th episode, when they introduced that one character, I'm like, yes, they're like the multiverse. It seemed like the multiverse was open up, like all this incredible stuff that happened. I'm like, this is Marvel going to be at its best. And then it went downhill. But we have to remember, while it was a dud at the end, the beginning of WandaVision was a breakthrough. It was an incredible thing, and it really, I loved Marvel Phases 1 through 3, but I never thought it was that incredible. When I watched WandaVision, it opened my eyes to what Marvel could be. And so that's what makes me really sad with the ending and how they kind of just blew everything off. The next thing on my list is that of Hawkeye. Hawkeye was another series where I watched it for a second time. The first time I watched it, I'm like, oh, it was okay. After watching Die Hard, I'm like, oh, this is even funnier knowing that it's like a Die Hard ripoff. But yeah, it's still a fun series. It's not incredible. There's some characters that are not the best. But Kate Bishop, I would love to see her return in another Avengers movie. For the most part, the main characters I liked. Echo wasn't that great. She wasn't an interesting character. Kingpin, they kind of just didn't do that great a job with. But, he was in the series and he didn't have to. He was only making an appearance. It wasn't like they destroyed his character in that way. That was more of Echo that actually destroyed his character. You had, the swordsman. He was the best part of the show. But overall, I just think the show in general, the short series, was just giving Hawkeye his chance to shine. And I felt like it was a really fun little story that I honestly would visit again over Christmas seasons. It's not bad. It wasn't incredible, but it's like any other Marvel movie. There's some great Marvel movies, but there are also some, not as great Marvel movies, even in Phases 1 through 3. And everyone needs to remember that. Not all of them are that great. Hawkeye was in that list of it was okay. Next one is another one just like WandaVision, where great idea, missed at the end. The first season of What If. Incredible. I remember hearing about this. I'm like, this is the most incredible thing ever. I've never heard of something better than this. I'm like, this. Well, of course, I've read the Lord of the Rings. But in the Marvel type of things, this is gonna bring them back. Multiverse, just what if. What ifs are one of my favorite ideas. I always love to talk about what if scenarios. just love that stuff. I personally hold to this standpoint of I love the multiverse because the reason is I see the multiverse as a representation of what discernment is like. With this idea of you can make this choice, but it helps to have this idea of, okay, while I'm making this choice, think of what if I made this different choice? How would it affect my life? Right? And so I just love the idea of multiverse. It plays into so much of my stories and stuff like that because multiverses are just beautiful things. And so this idea of what if this happened? What if this happened? Great idea. The first season of What If was amazing. The next season wasn't that great. The third season, I watched it, but it was like, I watched a little bit here, a little bit. It was like, after the first season was just amazing, and then it just went downhill. But let's not forget that the first season of What If existed, and it was incredible. It was amazing. I loved it. They should have done better with the next 2 seasons, but still, if they make a season 4 of What If, that would be incredible. I love What If. I'm just saying, it was amazing. The idea of What If, I was hooked from the very beginning when they first announced it, and I want to see more of What If. On the same note, of course, you have Loki. Loki was another series that I wasn't that, big on, the Loki. But then I watched it, and I'm like, it was okay. Eventually, when season 2 was coming out, I watched the first season again, and I'm like, I actually really liked the first season. It was really good. I loved how they introduced Kane. I loved it how, you had these different versions of Loki. You had, yes, did it take away from his character throughout the rest of, phases 1 through 3 of his, growth? Maybe. But in the same way, it's a fun, multiversal story that I loved. Season 2 was actually even better. I loved Season 2. I was surprised by that fact that I liked Season 2. I remember watching the trailer, and if for people who've been following this channel for a little bit now, remember when I reviewed the trailer, and I'm like, I don't know about you or Boris. He doesn't look that interesting. He seems like the ridiculous comedian in the movie that's not needed and takes away from the story. Then I watched the series. Season 2 was so incredible because of him. He was the best part of the whole series. I loved that character to death. If they had killed him off, I would have stormed Marvel. I freaking love that character. He was awesome. And how they ended the series was incredible. With, you see Loki take up his kingship almost. I'm not going to spoil too much about it, but it was really incredible. Overall, the Loki series was pretty good. Another one that I hadn't watched until recently, but I kept meaning to watch it because I loved the idea of the story, was Shang-Chi and the 10 Rings. I loved the idea of that movie, and I wanted to watch it, but what put me off of it was a little funny thing. I can't stand Awkwafina. Just can't stand her. Just all the characters she plays is one ridiculous character every single time, and it's so freaking annoying. I can't stand any movies with her in it because of how it's like nails on a chalkboard to me. So I kept not watching it for that exact reason. It's kind of ridiculous. I finally watched it, and she was definitely the part that took the most away from the movie. But in the same way, she wasn't that bad. I think they forced her to tone down Awkwafina. Her character toned herself down, so she was bearable in it. But she was still just her facial expressions, everything she does in movies just gets on my nerves for some reason, and I just can't stand watching movies with her in it. But besides her, that movie was actually really good, and it gets because of all the bad movies that came out, it gets blown aside. But I don't know, it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. Had a pretty cool story going on with it. Was it perfect? No. But hopefully we get to see more of Shang-Chi because he was a fun character. And martial arts is just an epic genre that have in the superhero series. And as I was saying in the beginning of this video, that's what I felt was the biggest thing. Where oh my goodness, these new Marvel movies could be incredible. Is it started with WandaVision and its idea of you can have multiple genres in a universe and they connect. I thought that was awesome. You can have this martial art movie, this sitcom, you can have this horror movie. You can have all these different genres coming into this from different movies. Love that. On that same note, with WandaVision, you also have Agatha All Along. Not the greatest, but I finally watched it because everyone was saying how terrible it was. I watched it. It's not incredible, but it was fun. I had fun watching it. That's all basically I can say. That it was enjoyable. The song Down the Witch's Road was pretty catchy. Is it incredible? No, but let's not blow off and say it was terrible just because it came out with a bunch of other terrible stuff. It was just okay. Kind of like Hawkeye. Great idea. I think it was an okay series. But it wasn't something that I'm going to be like, oh my goodness, this is incredible. Unlike Moon Knight. I might have just wanted to wait to put this one on the top, but I decided to talk about it now because I can't hold back this. Moon Knight is on my top 10 series. I love Moon Knight. They haven't given us a season 2 because it literally gets put aside with all these other terrible things because it's Moon Knight phases 4 through 6 are all terrible. No, they're not. Watch Moon Knight again. People keep comparing Moon Knight to all these other terrible stuff. It is nothing like them. It is the best. Honestly, in my opinion, it is the best Marvel thing that comes out from the last 20 years, probably. In my opinion, there are some other good stuff too, but better than Endgame, better than Infinity War. Moon Knight was incredible. I freaking love Moon Knight. I really want to see more of Moon Knight. Not just throwing him into other people's series. Actually have a season 2, season 3, season 4, season 5. As much Moon Knight. Give me all the Moon Knight. Just give me. I freaking love Moon Knight. Gets on my nerves. How people say Moon Knight is on the list of terrible things. Where are you getting this from? Moon Knight was a beautiful story. We had the mix of Egyptian mythology, Indiana Jones action, psychology with, DID, all these incredible themes going on. That was just beautiful. Was it accurate to Egyptian mythology? As someone who knows Egyptian mythology, no. But it was still fun to watch. There was one episode that was a little bit more Marvel-like, but besides that, I can't get over how episode 5 was just the most incredible. Freaking love it. I love episode 5. I just love episode 5. It was heartbreaking. It really was a turning place in my life. I'm not going to get into my own mental health things in here, but it was a turning place in my life watching that episode and being able to say it's okay to feel these emotions. It was I can't get enough of how great Moon Knight was, and I hate how people put it on the same level as these other bad Marvel series and movies because it came out in the same time period as Love and Thunder and all these other terrible things doesn't mean it's bad. It's probably on the best Marvel, in my opinion, on the top of the list of Marvel content altogether. Better than Iron Man. Better than the Thor movies. Even though I really like Thor, and Thor's probably one of my favorite characters. Honestly, I might even put it above Captain America. I'm just gonna put it out there. I think it might even be better than the Captain America movies. Not that the Captain America movies weren't incredible. I love them. They're no Moon Knight. I just love Moon Knight. I stand by that. Maybe in a couple years I would change my opinion on it, but for right now, I've watched Moon Knight 4 times now. I have never watched a series, probably. Well, maybe some series. But for the most part, I've never watched a series more than twice. 3 times. 3 times, I think. Yeah. Because I think I'm on my 3rd time of watching Arrow right now. But Moon Knight was just chef's kiss. I love Moon Knight. Everyone, all the haters, you can try to dish on Moon Knight, but yeah, no. Moon Knight, watch Moon Knight again. Everyone who just automatically put it in the category of it's just one of the trashy Phase 4 series, Disney Plus series, go watch it again. It is not. It is incredible, emotional. Oscar Isaac, I wasn't a fan of him that much as a actor before. Not that I didn't hate him. It was more like I just didn't have an opinion on him. I knew him from Star Wars, and people who have been following this channel for a while would know I am not a fan of Star Wars. Straight up. That's just the truth. And But after watching the series, I'm like, yeah, Oscar Isaac, he's one of my favorite actors now because simply he's Oscar Isaac. He does a great job of acting. I've seen other movies of him, and I'm like, yeah, this guy is incredible at acting. In Moon Knight, he does an incredible job playing both of these characters. But of course, then you have No Way Home. I think this is the one that people actually talk about that they actually admit it's good. I honestly don't think it's incredible. It's not bad. The first half of it was kind of boring. The only part that I really liked was the second half, and that was because you had my favorite version of Spider-Man coming back, and people actually seeing, oh yeah, Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man was not that bad. That's like, it was a great movie, but the first half of the movie wasn't that incredible in my opinion. It was the second half that really became, wow, this is good. But yeah, I think that's the one on this list that's actually, for the most part, people tend to see it as, oh yeah, no, it's the one standout good thing in those phases, which is not true, but yeah, it is pretty good. I liked it. I'm going to keep that very, very simple because I think everyone has talked about how great that one is. Okay, then another one that people have talked about being great is Deadpool and Wolverine. It's pretty, it's not incredible, it has plot holes in it, but it is such a fun movie to watch. To be honest, I'm going to have to say it, it's the only movie I've actually seen in an actual theater. The closest thing I've had to before that is I watched Endgame in a drive-in, but most people I've talked to say that doesn't really count as a theater. So technically the only movie I've ever seen in theaters is Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was 100% worth it. The opening, eventually I'm going to put out a video this month talking about the best opening to superhero content. But on that list is going to be the opening of Deadpool and Wolverine. It's amusing. It blew up the internet with, as a lot of things do, with, that song. But it's just so creative, and it was such a fun thing to watch. I really, it was, in my opinion, it was a great movie to be the first movie to watch in theaters because you got the experience of, this is what it feels like to be in a movie theater. I now see, do I like watching movies at home more? Maybe it's a toss-up. But in one way, I do understand the idea of, oh, this is fun watching movies in theaters because of that opening, having all these people around me joining in with my amusement and laughing about these different inside jokes that's going on in the scene, having my friend right next to me nudging me about different jokes that's happening throughout the scene. It's all this, it was a combined, oh wow, I'm watching this movie, and it's not just me watching this movie, I'm watching it with a bunch of people who are like-minded, who are wanting to watch this too, and are enjoying the jokes as much as I am. All the jokes perfect? No, it's that's the big thing, is I love the Deadpool movies, but the jokes are sometimes too crude for me. But in the same way, it was fun to watch it. It's one of the only series I can watch where I'm like, okay, these jokes are super crude, but in the same way, it's Deadpool, and it's kind of funny having these crude jokes. And the last thing I'm going to talk about, I've already talked about it before, but I'm going to just end with this, and I think it's the big thing that gets brushed aside. Marvel destroyed it, and that's why people think. But everyone is saying that there's not just superhero fatigue, but even more, there is a multiverse fatigue going on. And there might be, but I feel like if there's good multiverse movies coming out, we will change it. It would change our opinion on that. Because in my opinion, as I've said before when I was talking about, multiverse, the two stories I will always love are probably, for the most part, there can be bad ones, but multiverse stories and, time travel, those two types of storylines I just freaking love. Even that I don't think Back to the Future is the greatest series ever, the greatest trilogy of all time, as I've talked about before, I still love the whole time travel thing. There's so many good time travel movies. There are terrible time travel movies too, but there are great time travel movies. Multiverse movies. I love the multiverse. I was thinking about right before starting the recording of this video, the fact that people who have been following this channel for a little bit now would know I'm not a fan of Star Wars. But I was thinking about the fact that if Star Wars actually did make a multiverse movie where it's the Star Wars characters meet, we have Darth Vader versus Darth Vader, or Darth Vader versus Anakin Skywalker, where what if they somehow the characters from our version of Star Wars gets sucked into another universe where what if Anakin Skywalker never turned to the dark side? then you have this super powerful version of the Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, and all his, like, you actually get to see how powerful it could be. Or what if Anakin actually had won that, like, or what if Darth Vader had actually won the fight on Mustafar against Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he didn't get scarred up on it all. He left it, and he became more and more powerful, and you get to see this really cool, epic version. Because, again, as I mentioned before in my videos, I don't think Darth Vader, like, in his clunky robot suit, is that intimidating. But I do think Darth Vader as the cloaked, red-eyed Jedi or Sith Lord was I see where they're going with that. That looks intimidating. That looks epic. Imagine if you could have a whole movie where you get to see a full grown-up Dark Lord version of Darth Vader when he's not scarred up and all, and he's able to just be this powerful Dark Lord. That would be so much fun. And I was really thinking about the fact that I hate Star Wars, but if a movie like that came out, I might literally watch that in theaters simply because it sounds so cool. I feel, in my opinion, and I'll probably make a video about this eventually, in my opinion, out of all the universes, like all the fantasy universes, I think the universe that could use multiverse the most would be Star Wars. I feel like I've heard a lot of Star Wars say the opposite, but I feel like Star Wars works so well in a way that would, like, a multiverse storyline in a Star Wars movie would actually just work perfectly, in my opinion. Anyway, so let's just remember that while there is some bad movies, series that came out during this time, there are also some good stuff. Now, let's not just say superhero have died and that the genre has died. It's really that Marvel needs to look at the positive stuff. We need to be able to see the positive so that we can then move on to make greater stuff again. My hope is that this month I will be putting out 4 videos. One is on my opinion when it comes to whether Endgame or Crisis on Infinite Earths is better. And the other ones are the best openings and the best endings to superhero movies. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to see those videos when they come out, hopefully they'll be coming out this month. We'll see. I'm trying to record them as fast as I can because once I record everything, I'm tearing down my studio because I'm going to be moving 7 hours away from where I live. And so it's going to be a big move thing. And I'm going to try to put up a studio as fast as I can, but I'm going to try to record as much as I can, edit the stuff, and start releasing them over the month, even as I move in, so that you guys don't have to miss any of those videos. But hopefully I can get at least one more of them before I leave. If you guys want to see anyone to encourage me to actually put out those videos, consider subscribing. This has been the Movie Net Reviewer, Peter Wary, signing off.